Okay.
All right, we have a quorum and we're good to start.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Whoa,
We're on
go.
fire, yeah.
All right, the microphone's working. I'd like to go ahead and call to order our meeting for the Erie Land Bank for March 18th. And I'd like to start off by seeking an approval of the agenda and the minutes for our January 22nd meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Choices are limited today, so, okay, all in favor? Aye. That'll take us to the finance report. April?
Yes, thank you. Included in your packet, you have the balance sheet showing right now that we had $79,581.47 in the checking. The escrow is still sitting at a little over $54,000, and then the savings has $13,464.66. We are showing accounts receivable of a little over $30,000. That was from January's requisition to the county land bank, but they did not have a meeting last month, so we have not yet received that. The profit and loss is in there, showing a total net income of $15,694.28, and then I also have a list of the checks that were dispersed for February on the page following that.
Thanks, April. Was that the payment we were waiting on last time as well? Still waiting on?
Yeah,
that?
they County Land Bank canceled because of no quorum in February, so we have
Okay.
January, and now we'll have February, so it'll be up for Wednesday morning's meeting at the
So
County Land
this
Bank.
should just be procedural then.
Yeah.
Okay.
What would be a check to the Habitat for Humanity?
So that is a check for the just compensation for the purchase of 2321, well, not for the purchase, for the condemnation action of 2321 Cameron Road. During that, there was a $50,000 mortgage from Habitat for Humanity on that property.
Okay.
There was a value of $30,000 during the time of condemnation, so since that came to a conclusion, Gene worked out with Habitat for Humanity. Once they receive that just compensation payment, then they will sign a satisfaction on the mortgage to clear that title for us.
Okay. Thank you. It's just unusual.
Yeah, that was an unusual one in that Habitat had a mortgage and it was blighted and had sat vacant for many years, and Habitat was not foreclosing on the property. So it's a little bit of a different situation there.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the finance report? If not, can I get a motion to approve?
I make the motion to accept the financials as presented.
I'll second that.
Chuck, thank you, Deb. All in favor?
Aye.
Brings us to citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens wishing to speak today? Did we have any citizens online?
No, there's no.
Anybody call in? We're doing that, okay. All right, well, that takes us to the report of the executive director.
All right, not much of a report. We included the two work plans, 2023 and 2024, in your packets. The majority of the parcels that still have structures on them that we're going to get demolished are now under contract, and we'll be moving forward here now that the weather is improving and there's no chance of major snowfall, at least. So those will be restored, and then we'll get those marketed out to side lot owners. Other than that, we're still waiting on the judicial tax sale properties to come in on the 2024 work plan. Like we said, that's a 6-month wait period from the time of the sale in which they have to file an appeal to that. So we will wait that period of time until we can do such with those properties once that time period passes. So that's my report for today.
You're going to cover the solicitor's report
Yes.
as well, then?
Yeah, so we did complete the sale of 3 parcels, vacant lots, since the last meeting. And then we do have a few decent amount of pending sales going through, just waiting on some of the tax resolutions that we've passed over the last couple months. We just received the second one back from the school district last week, so that's been sent over to the county for them to get that cleared. So once we get those taxes taken care of, then we'll be able to get those parcels conveyed over to those property owners, so.
Any questions on the solicitor's report?
I said it's fine.
Good? Chuck, you good?
Yes, oh, sorry.
Okay, that'll take us to unfinished business and new business.
All right, so first is the vacant lot development proposals. As you're aware, probably for the last 6 months, we've had 1737 West 6th Street marketed. Jake received multiple phone calls on the property. A lot of it was from speculators looking to land hold. We did receive a few proposals. Only one proposal rose to the level in which we kind of required for the property purchase, with the a presentation, or at least a proposal as far as what would be built on the property for home ownership. So that's the proposal that is presented in front of you today, that you received a copy of. Pretty detailed, provided some elevations of a proposed development of a single-family property on that parcel. And then Mr. Bauman is here today to talk to the board and answer any questions you may have as far as his proposal on the property. So you're welcome to come up to the podium.
Yeah, would you mind coming up? Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, right. I'm at them. I have another plan here. The first one is more of a generic one, and I didn't want to put too much effort into this until everything kind of started to go somewhere. So this is for a potential address range to Vermont itself. That would be the more, like, that would be the one we'd like to go with if possible. 1,700 square foot brick house to fit the area as best as possible. The only concerns I have is what do you guys consider developed as far as when I can have it as my own, to not have to worry about all this lost cause if I were to put money into it, not fulfill our end of the agreement potentially, and then have to back away from it and have to cut my losses essentially.
Beyond what's addressed in the
Right. So
agreement.
the discussion, we've kind of had over this is that, certainly he provided us, a proposal and detailed proposal with some preliminary elevations. However, we kind of, just kind of discussed at this point that there would be putting any additional cost into this without some kind of commitment from the land bank that we would convey the property to him. I know we had met a couple months ago during the study session to kind of talk about our developer proposals, holding a deed in escrow, and certainly we're kind of at this point with the proposal is that, we would like to move forward and allow him to start to do some further investigating and put some more, detailed plans in place, but certainly he doesn't want to do that without a commitment that, we would, enter into a sales agreement, or will enter into a sales agreement and give him the time to do that development. Certainly we're at the point where any development right now would not happen this year, would be probably more than likely looking, early next year by the time he got plans, zoning approval and such in place to move forward with this.
Yeah, and again, my concern would be, I buy it for X amount of dollars, I pump X amount of dollars into it, I haven't met our agreement, and then I'm out all that money because I can't sell it because I haven't fulfilled what you deem to be developed, because I don't know what that definition would be.
Okay. Do you have, all right, so let's take a step back. How far along are you with your preliminary budgets for the project, and do you have financing either approved?
Yeah, financing
or
is strong,
in-
it's not a problem. I've got good relationships with my contractors. I've used them for various things, and it's not a lot of ifs. The only if, I guess, is if this makes sense for me, to push forward on this
Right.
lot.
I mean, I would envision a sales agreement where you have a certain amount of due diligence to both secure a commitment, firm commitment letter on the financing, but also to firm up your project cost.
Sure, that's not
And
too
then-
difficult, but I can't do that until kind of until it's as close as possible to that time, because as we know, it's been an aggressive market the last couple of years. So the price of yesterday could be, half what it's going to be next month.
But your concern is, are we going to follow through with selling to you?
No, my concern would be I buy it, because from what I understand, if I buy it and don't develop it, if I were to land hold and then I sell it, I owe you whatever profit I get from that deal. So if I were to put money into it, haven't met, again, what we deem the agreement to be, am I out that money? I mean, is it considered developed as soon as ground is broken? Is it developed as soon as it's livable?
So to clarify, so our developer agreements, and so if the property is not developed and the only ability they would have to convey it beyond that would be they either sell it for the cost they have into it, so in this case, $20,000. If he made any profit off of it over that original sales price under the developer agreement, that would then come back to the land bank. So
Right.
it just, in an effort to prevent land holding, that's how our
Right.
agreements are structured. So he's just concerned that timeframe, and what timeframe would the land bank give him to complete his due diligence? And I would say our agreement would be a certificate of occupancy upon completion of the property
Right.
would satisfy it. That's typically how our developer agreements are structured.
Yeah. Well, what kind of timeline are you looking for?
So, again, the timeline isn't so much the issue, because within a year or two I don't believe that to be really anything to be far-fetched. But again, my concern is, do I get the money that I have into it back out of it if I were to sell it without it being occupied? Because again, we've seen over the last couple of years, the world has turned upside down on us. I was explaining that when we had met before, the way that I got my buildings now, where someone lost their shorts on something similar during COVID. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the guy that I bought, my stuff from, because it's not a great position to be in.
If I understand what you're saying, there's not really a good way, though, that we can assure that you would have your soft costs refunded to you, though. There is an element of risk that's going to be on your part, too.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get into this project, and if you discover it costs a certain amount, and you say, you know what, it's more than I thought, I've changed my mind, those kind of soft costs, with any project for that matter, is on the potential developer, not on the seller.
Sure.
Does that address your question?
Yeah, that makes sense. I just didn't know,
Okay.
Where you guys stood with that, if that was negotiable.
I mean, we want to give you time to put your scope together and your budgets together, but can we say for sure that we can protect you against an unforeseen dollar amount in this? I don't know how we could. I mean, that's...
Because not much of it is you guys protecting me, but more or less allowing me to protect myself.
Yeah. Well, even if you put a cap in your due diligence where the project's not to exceed a certain amount and that's your way out, that wouldn't change our terms for selling it back.
No, I wouldn't think so.
I'll open it up for discussion. I'm trying to work this through.
Yeah, this is the first time that I've dealt with this issue.
Yeah. You're essentially concerned about the cost you're going to incur moving forward, right? You're going to call folks, you're going to get estimates put together. There's going to be some time and money that you're going to spend to put this scope together, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And your concern is being out that amount, right?
Yeah, but even after, we do, let's say I were to buy it, but even after that, I spend $20,000 on this property. I put 40 into it to begin the project. World flip turns upside down again. I can't do X, Y, Z. I have to dump this in order to, save my own shorts. Do I eat 40 grand and only pay you back, or pay you back with all the profit that would have been made from a half-complete project?
Half complete. I mean, I guess I'm trying to walk through that too. Like the infrastructure's already there. What are you talking about? You start building on something?
Yeah, if something were to be started, the lot is then worth more money. It sells for more money because of the money that I put into it. Then I owe you that money back, even though I've put it in, but just because I haven't met our agreement, essentially.
So I guess, in a way, some of our agreements are structured as far as developer agreements so it says two things. One, that if the purpose of the property is for land holding, then, the land bank would acquire anything over that. Or if the seller or the owner comes and the new buyer negotiates a new developer agreement that is approved by the board, then the sale can be transferred with a developer agreement. We just completed one for a parcel of land for the redevelopment authority that it's just, we conveyed a developer, a 9-year-old developer agreement over to the new owner because they purchased it for what they purchased it for, what the original owner purchased it for. So I guess, for you're down the road, you're 80 grand in because construction and then you want to sell it. I guess, I don't know, it'd be up to the board to decide whether or not they wanted to agree with a transfer of a developer agreement to a new owner at that time.
Yeah, transfer, I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone here. I think we would be open to
Sure.
we're open to trying to get it developed, right?
Sure.
So if you start off and you end up handing it to another developer because either you've changed your mind or whatever that is, that's one thing. Is the land bank in a position to help you recover those costs? No, that's
No,
just
and
not
I'm
the
not
nature
expecting
of.
you to help me recover
Yeah.
the cost. No, that would.
Yeah,
would be
so,
what I'd be asking.
like really, like with any project, you're gonna have to make that assessment, that risk assessment moving forward if it makes sense to do.
Yeah, and again, it's not about the things that I can see. It's not the risks that are identifiable. It's the ones that you cannot identify. A global pandemic coming out of Lord knows what.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost a lot. It was more than a parcel on the corner of 6th Street. And
Yeah.
want to be able to do what I can just to make sure, my bases are covered there.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard because, there's risk involved, obviously,
Yeah.
and hopefully the reward outpaces the risk, of course, and,
That is kind of hard.
Yeah, I guess that's risk that is taken, yeah, I don't.
Well, none of us can see that into
Sure,
the future,
yeah.
right?
That's why I didn't know what you guys' your standpoint was on it.
I mean, and I don't speak for the board, I know, in general, the agreements are able to be amended to allow additional time as needed, within, reason, so timeframe's never really an issue, it's more of the, getting to that final time, final
Maybe this
completion.
addresses the question better. If you, let's say a year, 2, 3 years from now, you're partially into this project, you change your mind for whatever reason, right? But you're able to secure a new developer and you transfer your agreement to that new developer. To me, that's really between you and that developer. I mean, if that new developer is to pay you for what you've put into that lot, right? I've poured a foundation, I've already put the basement walls up, I changed my mind, okay? If somebody comes along and says, okay, I identify the value in that, I'm gonna compensate you for that. Then that's between the new developer and him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that.
And I don't see
No, the land bank would just have to approve that developer
the
agreement.
transfer, right? What
The
that
change of ownership.
developer compensates you for, at least it's how I feel, has no bearing on us. We want to see it developed. Does that help answer
That makes more sense. But by the same note, what would be stopping somebody from, doing what I'm doing, and then a different developer comes in and says, I see the value in this land for twice what you paid for it. Do I owe you that, additional 20 grand?
If you're just selling the land again?
For the sake of argument, yeah.
No. Would you, yes, you would. We're not gonna, we want to see it developed. We don't want to see it held.
Yes.
Okay? And if we were to allow that, then you'd have individuals that would be scooping up this inventory, holding it in the hopes of reselling it for a higher price.
Exactly. I just want to make sure that it's added value, not just perceived value.
It's
of the
added
land.
value.
Okay, that makes
It's
sense.
sort of the same way that they measure assessed value. When you're reassessed, right, on a new property, you have to add something to it. If you hold the land and in 3 years change your mind, and are able to sell it for a higher amount, that is what would come back to the land bank.
Yeah, which makes sense, but again, that's not what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
There's not much money to be made off of
Yeah,
big
but
parcel
if you
lands.
improve the property, or begin to improve the property, and then for whatever reason, life throws you a change, and instead of ABC development doing it, it's now XYZ, and you transfer that to XYZ, I'm just speaking for myself, I don't have an issue with that, as long as this project continues to move down the road.
Sure.
We want it developed.
I would agree, yeah,
I agree with that.
yeah.
So hopefully that
That does, yeah, that helps.
clears mud?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's just
Don't let us down, that's all I can say, don't let us down.
there's a lot of things in this that I'm unfamiliar with. I've done a lot with
Yeah.
commercial property. The whole residential land bank thing is definitely a new step for me here. So
Sure.
trying to learn as I go.
Yeah, we all learn somewhere, right? We
Yeah.
start
But
somewhere.
if you're comfortable with that, I mean, we want to work with folks who want to get these developed, but we also have to make sure that, you know, we have our sights on the end goal, which is getting that developed.
Yeah, again, which is what, if it was up to me, I would, be breaking ground this year, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's, everyone's still playing catch up from the last 3 years. I'd be lucky to, at this point now, from what I'm being told, I'd be lucky to dig in the spring. So it's again, it's not really me, it's more me waiting for other people. Is that would be the time frame.
Spring of next year.
Yeah.
Well, I think we need to decide if we want to wait. Well, do we have any more questions for our
Yeah.
guest? I guess we can.
I had a question, actually, on page 2, where it says, do you plan to personally occupy this property? You say yes, but then down where it says, would you be willing to sign a guarantee of ownership? You say no. And then you said it would be either myself or my family. So could you kind of clarify?
Yeah, and we talked about this briefly when we had met. So I didn't check. I didn't check would I be willing to sign it, because that was just a question that I had, was what would me owning it actually entail? How much of it do I actually own? The me or my family thing is my mom's moving, she's downsizing. So it would either be I move into this house, or essentially she downsizes into this house in Snowbird for 6 months in Florida. That would be, it's the me or my family thing there. And I have another brother moving from New York City, so, flip a coin for who's gonna be in it, but have to be one of us.
Okay. And I see that this was submitted in September, but we're getting it just now, is there?
Yeah, I was told it was a hard deadline.
Yeah, we put this out, the property was demolished late last summer. We put signs up on the property, we marketed it. Like I
Okay.
said, Jake received numerous calls on it. Certainly we had discussed with the land bank, we wanted a proposal to develop the land. We didn't, of course, want it to go to a speculator or
Sure.
somebody who was just gonna hold it. So, he had submitted the original application, we gave it time, we were hoping on maybe an additional one application to come in, so that we would have two to put in front of the board. That has not happened. We received some proposals, but none to the point where they actually they wanted to purchase the land. No development paperwork, no proposed plan, no proposed house, just kind of an option to purchase it. So, that's certainly not what we want to see as a land bank. We wanted to see, the property developed, so that's the only reason. We kind of sat on it waiting, and then at this point, we're kind of getting to this point, if we want to move forward with the proposal to give somebody the time to do
Okay.
their due diligence, now's the time, because, as we continue to wait, we just keep pushing the time frame out on this property, so.
So this is the highest and best proposal we've
Yes.
received? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Okay, just need to know.
I believe it's just because I've been the most annoying.
Well, we've all dabbled in real estate development once or twice, so we understand the risk involved, and
Yeah, sure.
hopefully it's more reward than risk at this point.
We hope, yeah.
Yeah, but certainly.
Being able to have an affordable home, more affordable than
And
purchasing
just
it
a
from
question on so this will face, is the side street?
The house that I
Yeah.
had just handed you would.
Yeah.
The one in the proposal would be a 6th Street address as it was before.
Okay.
This one keeps the same layout with the driveway and the garage positioning and all
Okay.
that, but would change it to a Vermont address.
So the garage is still on 6th Street? then?
Yes, it'd still be the same driveway location,
Same
be set back
location.
the same way it was before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the character of the neighborhood.
Right.
So,
No, it's important.
no.
Yeah, I'm not going to do the vinyl siding special, as
No,
we've
no,
seen
no,
pop up in
that's-
many places here.
It's a very visible property, obviously, so.
Yeah.
And again, this is the first time I've been involved in new construction since I've joined this group, so.
This would be our first new construction.
Oh, okay, so forgive if we're stumbling a
Or
little.
at least our
bit.
first
We're all-
proposal
yeah.
along this
Yeah,
line,
so-
If you can't tell.
So I guess we're all learning as
Yeah.
we're doing, right? So,
All learn together here.
yeah.
Maybe it's in the details here, but I mean, I love this. I just waiting what sounds like more than a year to know if we're going to have a house or if we're going to have development there. I mean, is there a middle ground here? Do we want to wait that long?
Oh, you're talking as far as him getting back with like proposed timelines and stuff
Right.
like that?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, because, you know, we had talked, like I
Because
said,
we're
at
going
that
to take it
study
off the
session.
market for over a year.
I mean, this would enter into a sales agreement, and we would work to start to transfer ownership, go into that deed and escrow, or, you know, a time frame with confirmed funds like we had discussed at the study session, which we're still working on.
Can we give him a first option and keep it on the market?
Yeah, I think the board.
I'm not trying to muddy the waters.
Yeah, I think the
but
board could do whatever you wanted to do. I guess it would be on whether or not he wanted to put more due diligence into going through this process without
If he has a first option, he's
Yeah, if
first in
that's the
line.
case, I'd go out and go get a more accurate dig time or,
Okay.
or foundation for whatever we decide
I
to
don't
go
want to
with,
take this
but-
off the market for over a year.
Yeah.
Not that I don't believe what you
No, I don't
want to
blame
do.
you.
No.
I absolutely don't blame you.
We have an obligation to get this site developed.
Sure.
And-
I just
and
don't-
And I think if we can structure this in a way where you have first option, and maybe for 6 months, and then you come back in 6 months and say, here's the progress I made, or it's not looking like it's where I want it to be.
So what do you want to see then to close it?
I want to see commitments from contractors and an actual start date.
Okay.
Permits have been pulled, your financing commitment letter from the bank, that, you know, you're 95% sure is going to happen. Until then, I think we do an option, but we keep it on the market. But that's just me, you know, I don't want to, I love what you're proposing, but
No, that's agreeable to me, that makes sense.
that's far off, right?
Yeah.
Over a year.
Yeah, it's, again, the build season here is short.
Yeah.
Build season everywhere is short. It's
Yeah.
especially short here.
And it's hard to get folks, and I know that, and it's tough.
Again, the other issue is, I mean, I'm in the manufacturing of construction products. I hear it from all over the country. If our spring is long, our build season is short. If our fall is short, our build season is short. If it rains a lot, our build season is short. It takes one cold spring, a rainy summer, and an early winter to set people back a year.
So would you be open to an option then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds like that seems reasonable for all parties, I think.
You want to talk to Gene about that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how would that work if someone submitted an offer that would challenge mine? Would I get notified? Would it?
You
Okay.
get notified, and I think we would structure it in a way where we need to talk to Gene about this, but probably like a 48-hour clause on a residential
Yeah.
sale or something to that effect.
Yeah, I mean, any sale would have to come back to the board, so it would be, yeah, it'd have until the next board meeting to,
Yeah. Let's talk with Gene about that. I don't want to slow this down, but
Yeah.
I don't want to tie it up for over a year.
I think we agree in concept, but I agree
Yeah.
that, going out to legal
Let's
counsel.
get some
just to make sure that
details,
everybody's
yeah.
protected then.
Sure.
Yeah,
Is
let's,
there anything that would stop you from building tomorrow if a contractor can come and do it? Or is your hold on it?
No.
Because you're just, whatever can happen, it can happen. It's not something that you personally want to wait for.
Yeah, it's not a financing issue. It's not a dragging my feet issue. It is an other people issue. And unfortunately, everyone's slammed.
yeah.
If I could wave my magic construction wand and have a crew open up to be able to build a house tomorrow, I would wave it.
Right.
So-
And that's why, you know, possibly with an option, you could come back here in 6 months and say, okay, I've got ABC Construction signed an agreement, they've got a deposit, you know, never going to be 100%, but you're closer. I'd like to table this and have Gene give us some
Okay.
input on an option,
that's fair.
if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
Fine with that.
Yep.
And we still want to work with you, and let us fine tune a couple things.
Sure. I appreciate your your answers here, because
Yeah.
seem to have very little of them.
Yeah, we want to make sure we're both on the same page, right? And I think we need to clarify a couple things, but I think mostly we're there, so,
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you need us to.
Motion and a second
Motion
to table.
Table, okay.
I'll make that motion to table.
I'll second it.
And just so the language is right, we're motioning to table to
Discuss
explore
with
an
legal,
option.
yeah.
I think it's pending legal.
Option.
Pending legal advice.
Purchase option, yeah. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Okay, it takes us to a lease agreement.
Come on. All right. So you have a lease agreement for 1962 East 20th Street to the Urban Erie Community Development Corporation. So they had reached out and put in a vacant lot proposal to purchase this lot, and it sits over there just south of the Harbor Homes Annex Complex. Buffalo Road is here, so they put it out, and so Jake and I had been discussing, options for this property. It is a fairly large tract of land. It is certainly available to be developed. It could be developed, split into two reasonably sized lots. And so we're kind of in the point of doing some due diligence as far as some options on that property. And so Mr. Horton met with us last week. He really wants to put a garden on the property, and we kind of discussed the board's kind of, favor toward gardens, and we weren't comfortable kind of entering into a sales agreement while we're still in kind of our due diligence as far as looking at options as far as development on this parcel. And so he had agreed that he would be open to leasing the property for a year to put a garden in, says that, they would certainly maintain it to a level which we would be satisfied with, and it would provide gardening space for residents of the community, the Harbor Homes Complex, and he certainly went into detail discussing how they plant gardens at the Harbor Homes Complex, and they're limited on space. So, I said, we could put together a lease agreement and get the board's approval to lease it for 1 year. Gives us time to do some due diligence, and also, if that falls through and he does good with the garden, then, we could potentially discuss a sale of it, at this time next year, if we so desired, so.
How much is he leasing it for?
It'd basically be $1. So it would take the maintenance of it off of the land bank for the year, and they would utilize it as a community garden.
And how would this differ from some of the other leases for gardens or that we've done in the past? I'm sure if Mr. Gamble were here, he would have
Yeah,
it's
other
just-
than this would be, a different organization. It's basically the lease agreement comes from those other lease agreements that we had for community gardens. It's not quite to the scale or magnitude that some of those failed gardens that
Okay.
Mr. Gamble would have brought up were. Those were 8, 9, 10 parcels, I believe, spread out. This is one dedicated lot right around, I don't think it's this picture, but their center is right over here.
So there was a
So,
block or two
yes.
from the
Yeah, it's
from
certainly
the
within
nonprofit
their
that is-
area. Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful to know. No.
That was, and then his original proposal was to purchase it for the use of a garden, and that was kind of a hesitation as far as doing that at that time. But he was adamant, and reached out that he wanted to meet with us, so this was the solution that we had came up with to put forth, so.
Did you receive any feedback from Paul or?
No, I didn't receive anything from Paul. I know he's out of town right now, so I'm not sure what his availability of access to email is.
Do we have an opportunity to inspect and comment on the condition of, as part of our language?
We can certainly add it if it is not in here.
I'm not looking forward to the authority of sending any staff members to do an annual or a monthly drive-by or something
No,
like
but
that.
let's say July, August comes around, hasn't been mowed yet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, at least the abandonment, we have the ability to to take back possession of the property.
And again, I'm just glancing through the language here and maybe I've seen this a couple years ago, but
I think I'm inclined to give them a shot at it. I'm not excited about just given our track record on these, but
Yeah, we definitely don't have the greatest
yeah,
history as far as gardens go.
and maybe it is. Maybe it is just going to build into someone's schedule then to do a drive-by, once a week or every other week or something like every 2 weeks, twice a month, just to look at the condition and then give the lessor, those people, the folks that are leasing from us, then an opportunity, a 24 or 48-hour to cure. Otherwise, it gets rescinded or something like that. So maybe there's a paragraph in there that provides fairly prompt action, so it doesn't kind of languish a little bit.
So we could add kind of a notice to default like we do in our relinquishment agreements.
That's maybe where it's at, so that because we're not talking about the displacement of people, it's potentially we could just cancel the lease and deal with it, and or just I'm rambling here, but and or having them put a deposit of some $500 or something like that in case we had to come in and maintain it or something like that. As an idea.
yeah, I thought the same thing. Some modest deposit.
Yeah, or $200 or whatever, in case we had to go and send a lawnmower in or something like that.
That's not, yeah.
Or herd of goats or whatever we decided to do.
Yeah, I like that idea, I think.
Okay. we
Yeah,
could
and just a refundable deposit, should we need to draw from it then to maintain the lot.
Well, it can be applied towards his purchase if he ends up
Yeah.
following through with this.
Absolutely.
So we could take a $500
Yeah.
deposit,
Then
refundable,
the
or
next year, then it goes towards
Yeah.
his purchase.
Because I think that's solving some of the issues, because, like many of us walked, the neighborhood that Mr. Gamble pointed out to us. We saw the well-intended folks
Right.
not being able to deal with it then and then, but having some of these safeguards in, I think, reduces the burden off the authority then.
Should that be a non-refundable? I mean, he wants to purchase this and he thinks he's going to make it work.
a non-refundable.
Well,
Well, I guess I would just, if the land bank would to decide to move forward with some development, or if a developer would come along that would want to develop it, certainly want to be able to give him, if he maintained it and kept it in good condition,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, make it refundable then.
Other than that, I think that mitigates some of the concerns I think that Mr. Gamble would have then, because would be the most authoritative on the topic.
Then I guess we would amend this to include a $500 refundable deposit. And with that addition, then I would seek a motion to approve.
Yeah. And I would authorize Mr. Sniffer to negotiate it if $500 is totally out of the question. If it becomes $300 or something like that, but whatever you feel is the appropriate amount.
as long as there's enough to
Correct.
cure any
Correct.
default of maintenance.
I'd like to give you
on the
a little authority to maneuver around a little bit. So this deal doesn't die or come back next month.
Yeah, we don't want to make it difficult on them.
No.
It's just is what it is.
Okay.
All right. So I'd like to make that whatever the motion is. God love you, Cynthia, for understanding our this is consensus building here. So
Yep. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you. Yeah, we really aren't trying to muddy the waters, I swear.
well, we're building the airplane as we're flying it too, which is
Sort of,
okay
yeah.
too. I mean, it's better than being parked on the ground at all times. So.
Okay,
All right.
we
So.
have for sale.
Yeah, okay, we have two properties right now in the land bank inventory. I know if you guys remember, we went through 1017 German Street. We put it out to bid. We did not receive any bids on the rehabilitation. Jake and I were looking at this. We would like to kind of proceed with trying again this spring, summer to rehabilitate these two properties. I know like we said, we discussed, developers and how we just have been failing to get some of these properties developed through the private way, through utilizing private developers. We would like to try to utilize the land bank and the funds we have in our account to rehabilitate these two properties, 1017 German and 2321 Cameron. It would still be the use of, this single-family property, demolish the back, rehabilitate that property, like I said, that we walked through. So you're familiar with that one. And then the other one is the Cameron, which, Chuck, that was the one you brought up. It was a Habitat for Humanity house. It is a newer split foyer style structure. 4 bedrooms, Jake?
Yeah,
4 bedrooms with a kitchen, living room, family room. It's not in bad shape. Structurally, it's sound. Utility-wise, it appears to be salvageable. There was some copper stolen from the basement, but it's just kind of been left vacant, like I said, for some time. So don't really feel that this one would have a substantial rehabilitation cost. We were certainly, all the windows are broken. We need to get a price on replacing the glass versus replacing the windows in their entirety, reactivating the electrical service, really need to get a dehumidifier running in it sooner than later. As I said, it is a split foyer, so it is half basement in ground. So there is some moisture damage coming in because of its basically vacancy for some time. A little bit of mold on the wall, but like I said, they stole the copper pipes, but it's a decent property. I'm trying to get to the outside. Where's the west one? Yeah, so, I mean, it's over there in the Fairmont McClelland area. So it's certainly, I mean, like I said, large corner lot, newer house, the roof's in good shape. Hopefully the major utilities are still, I mean, electrical is fine. There was no vandalism there, but like I said, plumbing, it was never winterized, so that's a big question and concern as far as copper piping. But certainly I think a viable rehabilitation for homeownership option for the land bank to facilitate. This is I think more of a home run than German, but I would like to still give German a shot. But this is one I think we could certainly facilitate getting ready for home ownership by the end of the summer. Just kind of wanted to put it out there for the board, get your feelings on it, and kind of go on from there.
And you're comfortable with what we have in the budget for these two? Or
Yeah.
enough in the budget for these two?
Yes, I believe April and I have been looking at the work plan budgets and moving some money around and how we're going to structure closing out, I think it's work plan 22, and reallocating some money into the 24 budget, and we could put some of that money into the rehabilitation line item, and which would help facilitate this one and German Street's rehabilitation.
Do you know how much these properties may cost to rehab?
This one, depending upon a few, kind of estimate around $25,000 to $30,000 on Cameron Street. German was priced out at a little close to $100,000 with the demolition, so that one be a little bit more of a subsidy to cover on the land bank side, on the home ownership end of it. This one could, given that we're $30,000 in, depending upon how we wanted to market it and sell it. I'm not sure what the market value of this would be. Jake, if you have a better.
Probably market rate to a consumer, 140, 150.
So, if we wanted to market it at a lower affordable level, I mean, certainly that would be but I mean, we might be all in $60,000, $70,000 on this one. So, I mean, there would be very little subsidy to cover on that.
So do you think both properties combined, one might even out the other, because German Street's going to be underwater a little bit?
I would think it might be a wash.
And the location of German Street strikes me that there might be a nonprofit such as SafeNet, because I think they're around the corner. I think about some of the veterans groups that are, or even the United Methodist Alliance or something like that, who's doing more housing. So in addition to just private citizens and developers, there might be an institutional investor. But those are the three that come to mind, because its location is really pretty good, because it's very central for other services. So nonprofits would look, for a transitional living situation or something like that, and, or congregate living if it's zoned properly for that. And the Germ Street just strikes me as somebody, and maybe what we do is take down the back part, which is horrible, just to give somebody else a fighting chance to raise money and to write grants to handle the rehabilitation.
Yeah, and that's gonna, I mean, I think it was $24,000 on the rehabilitation of taking down the back and basically making it back to the single-family structure it was. So, I mean, we could certainly move forward with that and market it out to those type agencies and see, and get our cost on the demolition side of it.
Yeah.
And just kind of facilitate maybe
Yeah.
the development part, so.
Just, I would do that in addition to other outreach and so on, because maybe it didn't occur to us to market those to those groups, but it just seems, and I've been out of that business for a few years, but it seems that there might be a possibility then, particularly if HUD still has some of the homeless grants and so on, this might be an opportunity for home or CDBG funding for next year or something like that. If you know somebody who knows about
I was
it.
going to say, I think I know someone.
But sometimes you have to kind of think creatively then and create the market. Like you need to buy this, but you have to buy this.
So Aaron, is this something, this isn't anything that we're,
There's no
motion today.
no motion, just kind of a sense of if the board is open to
Yeah.
I think we
us
are.
continuing
Yeah.
our due diligence
Yeah.
on that. Okay.
sharpen the numbers, let us know.
Okay, we'll work on that here between now and the April board meeting and have a little bit more detail for you at
That'd
that
be great
point,
if
so.
we could get a couple of those victories like that. So, thank you.
All right, well, I guess I'll shorten the board meeting since we have no tax abatement resolution or vacant lot proposals. So I just kind of, given that we're required to publish the agenda ahead of time and knowing that sometimes things pop up, I wanted to have the ability to have a resolution in front of the board if deemed necessary, just to, I hate to prohibit, the sale of a property for another 30 days if
Absolutely.
a tax issue popped up on Friday, so.
Very good.
Would like to remove those two from the agenda officially, so.
All right. So, any other business then? I assume it's no other business?
Nope.
Let me just say before we adjourn, nice agenda this month. I'm looking forward to finding out a little more detail about West Sixth Street.
Yeah.
See if we can get that buttoned up so it works for both sides. We don't want to get in the way, but we just want to tidy up a couple things. So hopefully that's able to come into focus next month, and along with your rehab numbers on these two properties. So I don't have any other comments. Any other questions?
No.
If not, then, yeah, we can adjourn. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.